Welcome back to another episode of SmoothBrainEDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. You all really seem to enjoy our last Dominaria United video, so we're back at it again with some brand new commanders. And honestly, I'm really excited to see how this game goes, so let's not waste any more time and jump into the decks and their opening hands. Up first, we have Matt on Shanna Purifying Blade. It's pretty obvious what this deck's about. It's a Bant life gain deck, and having Shanna as the commander means whenever you gain life, you can just pay mana to refill your hand and keep going. And Matt will keep an opening hand of Tropical Island, Prismatic Vista, Misty Rainforest, Talisman of Unity, Rampant Growth, Balaged Recovery, and Wizard class. Up next is Sam, playing Stangg Echo Warrior. This Gruul Aura and Equipment deck plans on buffing Stangg up to the maximum, and of course, when he attacks, he gets a copy of Stangg and everything attached to him. Sam, being our resident Aura and Equipment player, had to build this. And so he'll keep an opening hand of 2 Mountains, Wooded Foothills, Cinderglade, Arcane Signet, Second Harvest, and Eldrazi Conscription. Up next we have Jason, playing Hazezon, Shaper of Sand. This deck focuses on abusing Hazezon's ability to create a flood of 1/1 tokens. So his deck is very focused on the lands theme, but it's also got a token sub-theme. So he'll keep an opening hand of Snow-Covered Forest, Sacred Foundry, Misty Rainforest, Dark Depths, Skullclamp, Cultivate, and Doubling Season. And last but not least, we have Logan on Sheoldred the Apocalypse. This mono black deck focuses on something not many black decks do, making everyone draw cards. But thanks to his commander Sheoldred, every time he draws a card, he will benefit from it while his opponents will slowly wither away. And so he'll keep an opening hand of 2 Swamps, Charcoal Diamond, Mind Stone, Exquisite Blood, Erebos, God of the Dead, and Hazezon, Perverter of Truth. We're about to hop right into it, but before we do, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let us know down in the comments who you think's gonna pull the victory today. And while you're down there, don't forget to check out the links, and you might notice a new one. That's right, we're holding another giveaway to thank you guys for getting us to 10,000 subscribers. And this time, we're not just picking one winner, we're picking 3. And you're probably wondering, what's being given away? Well, we're going to be giving away some custom SmoothBrainEDH sleeves, a playmat, and a bunch of Dragon Shield sleeves. Stick around to the end of the video for more details. And speaking of Dragon Shield, they're today's sponsor, so special thanks to them, and be sure to check out our affiliate link down in the description below. But that's enough talk for now, you guys. Let's hop right into the video. Looks like Logan wins the die roll. He'll play a Swamp and then pass the turn. Jason plays a Snow Forest and will cast his Skullclamp, then pass to Matt. Matt plays his Tropical Island, casts Wizard class, then passes to Sam. And Sam will just play his Wooded Foothills, and then the turn is back to Logan. Logan will play his second Swamp, and then will cast his Charcoal Diamond and pass the turn to Jason. Jason just plays a Sacred Foundry tapped and passes to Matt. Sam will stop him on his end step and decides to go ahead and crack his Wooded Foothills, saying he's going to get a Taiga, and he lets Matt take his turn while he's searching. Now on Matt's turn, he plays a Prismatic Vista and asks the table if they're okay if he cracks his Prismatic Vista and casts his Rampant Growth at the same time to save some time. He says he's going to get 2 planes with it, and the table's cool with it. The turn is now Sam's, and he'll play a Mountain, then cast Arcane Signet. The turn is then passed to Logan, who will start by casting his Mind Stone, and then he'll tap for additional 2 to cast Night's Whisper, drawing 2 and losing 2. He'll then play a tapped Agadeem the Undercrypt, and then passes the turn to Jason. And on his turn, he plays a Snow Mountain, and then will play Dryad of the Elysian Grove. He'll then play Misty Rainforest as a second land drop, and thanks to his Dryad, he can tap it for any color of mana, so he will, and he equips the Dryad with Skullclamp. The turn is then passed to Matt, who decides he wants to play his own Misty Rainforest. He'll then fetch with it for a Savannah, and then cast Shanna. The turn is passed to Sam after this. And Sam decides it's time to drop his commander as well, so he plays a Mountain, and then casts Stangg, and then passes the turn to Logan, who starts his turn off by casting Arcane Signet. He'll then play Myriad Landscape as land for turn, then cast Sheoldred, and then pass the turn. There's a Sheoldred trigger in Jason's draw step, and then on his main phase he'll play Dark Depths as land for turn, which can tap for any color thanks to the Dryad. After this he taps for 3 and casts Cultivate. He'll search for Snow Plains to the battlefield tapped, and a Forest to his hand. And of course he plays the Forest as his second land drop, and then he'll tap for 3 to cast his commander, Hazezon. The turn is then passed to Matt, Sheoldred trigger, and then on his main phase he'll play a tapped Temple Garden. After this, he taps for 4 and drops Smothering Tithe. The turn is then passed to Sam, who now has 2 triggers on his draw step, and he won't pay for Smothering Tithe. He'll then play a Cinderglade as land for turn, and then he'll move to combat, swinging Stangg at Matt and the copy at Logan. Logan blocks the copy with Sheoldred, and Matt just takes the 3 commander. And then the turn is passed to Logan. He'll have 2 triggers on his draw step, and he won't pay for Smothering Tithe. After this, he'll play another Swamp as land for turn, then we'll tap for 5 to cast Alhammarret's Archive. He'll then crack his Myriad Landscape, searching for 2-tap swamps to the battlefield, and he'll pass to Jason while he's doing that. Sheoldred and Smothering Tithe trigger, he won't pay to Smothering Tithe. He'll then cycle a Desert of the True to draw a card, double triggers, and he won't pay. He'll then tap for 5 and drop his Doubling Season. Then, thanks to Hazezon's ability, he'll play his Desert of the True from the graveyard, and he'll get 4 1/1 tokens. Then, with his second land drop, he plays Grasping Dunes, getting him yet another 4 1/1 tokens. Then, with his last mana, he will Skull Clamp one of the 1/1s, drawing 2 cards. Double Sheoldred trigger, double Tithe trigger, and he cannot pay for Smothering Tithe. After this, Jason will move to combat, swing Hazezon at Sam, and then he'll pass the turn to Matt, who loses 2 on his draw step, and then will move to combat and swing for 3 lifelink at Sam, who just has to take it. After this, he'll drop a Farewell, choosing all creatures and all artifacts as the modes, and it'll resolve. He'll then recast his commander, and then he'll pass the turn to Sam, who doesn't pay for Smothering Tithe. Sam then plays Den of the Bugbear as land for turn, and then passes the turn to Logan. Logan won't pay for Smothering Tithe, and then decides to keep the draw pressure up and will recast Sheoldred. He also plays a Takenuma as land for turn, and then he'll pass to Jason. Double triggers on draw, not paying for Smothering Tithe. Then on first main, he'll cast Azusa. After this, he'll play Plateau as his first land drop, and then he'll fetch with his Mystery Rainforest for a snow-covered forest. And then he'll cast Ancient Green Warden. But Matt decides to counterspell it, saying that's a little too good. Unfortunately, the counterspell resolves, but then Jason will play a Windswept Heath as land for turn, immediately fetching with it to find a Jetmir's Garden. He'll then just pass the turn to Matt after that. And Matt decides that 1 Sheoldred trigger on his draw step isn't enough, so he sinks 3 mana into Wizard class to get 2 more cards and 2 more Sheoldred triggers. After this, he'll cast a Pristine Talisman, and then we'll move to combat, bonking Sam for 3 lifelink again. Matt will then move to end step, Shanna triggers, and Sam decides to respond by Besageing Smothering Tithe. Matt searches up Aspara's headquarters to the battlefield, because it does have a basic land type, and then he'll pay 1 with his Pristine Talisman, gaining a life to draw a card off Shanna, and then he'll lose 2 to Sheoldred. And then after this, the turn is Sam's. A Sheoldred trigger is unfortunately missed, and then Sam plays Command Beacon. He then drops a Soul Ring, and then we'll tap for 6 to recast Stangg. And then the turn will be passed to Logan, who gains 2 when he draws a card, and then he'll pay 4 to cast Erebos, God of the Dead. He'll then activate Erebos' ability to draw a card, and this is life neutral thanks to Sheoldred. And then the turn will be passed to Jason. Sheoldred trigger on draw, and then Jason will tap for 5 mana to recast Hazezon. After this, he'll activate Grasping Dunes and sacrifice it to put a -1/-1 counter on Sheoldred. And then thanks to Azusa and Hazezon's abilities, Jason will do it a total of 3 times, putting 3 -1/-1 counters on Sheoldred, and getting Jason 12 1/1 creature tokens. He'll then sacrifice the Dunes 1 last time to make Sheoldred only an 0/1. After this, Jason swings Azusa at Matt, and then passes to Matt. Draw step trigger, and then Matt will play a Flooded Strand. After this, he maxes out his Wizard class, and then we'll just pass the turn to Sam, who has a trigger on his draw step. Sam then decides it's time to go big and not home, and drops Eldrazi Conscription on Stangg. He'll then move to combat, and he'll swing it at Logan. And upon attacking, he gets an extra Stangg and an extra Eldrazi Conscription. He swings the copy at Jason, but he only gets 1 Annihilator trigger. And Logan's the one who has to deal with it, so he'll sacrifice Sheoldred and a Swamp, and then takes 13 commander damage. Jason then debates whether or not he wants to block, and decides, you know what, it's not commander damage, so he'll just take the 13. Sam then plays Balagad Sanctuary as land for turn, and then passes. And then Logan will cast the card he drew, a Jeweled Lotus. Then he'll activate Erebos to draw a card, and then we'll do it 1 more time, and then he decides to tap for 3 mana, and will cast Black Market Connections. The turn is then passed to Jason, who decides to start off by casting Anointed Procession. After this, he'll do his Grasping Dune shenanigans twice, putting 2 -1/-1 counters on Stangg, and making 16 1/1 tokens. He'll then swing Hazezon and his 12 1/1s at Sam, who can't block it. Jason will move to his second main after this, and he'll play Glacial Chasm as his 3rd land drop, and he'll sacrifice Desert of the True, and then he'll pass the turn to Matt. And Matt sacrifices his fetch on end step to get a Tundra. Then on his draw step, Wizard class triggers, and he puts a 1/1 counter on his commander. He'll then play a Sea of Clouds as land for turn, and then thanks to Logan's Erebos, Matt's game plan is kinda shut down right now, so he just passes the turn to Sam. And Sam will play a Yavimaya as land for turn. After this, Sam decides to cast Kenrith's Transformation on Hazezon to stop him from generating any more tokens, and also to draw him a card. Sam will then move to combat and swing Stangg 1 and Stangg 2 at Jason, forgetting there's a Glacial Chasm out. Annihilator goes on the stack, and Jason will sacrifice 2 of his tapped warriors. He then knows he doesn't have to block here, but he decides he wants to get rid of Stangg 1, and puts all 16 of his untapped warriors in front of Stangg. Sam will respond though, and he'll cast Heroic Intervention, giving his Stangs Indestructible and Hexproof. and so Jason loses 11 of his 1/1s. And then Sam will pass the turn to Logan. When Black Market Connections triggers, Logan will pay 3 life to draw a card and make a treasure token. He'll then play Basic Swamp as land for turn, and then he'll activate Erebos twice, paying 4 life and 4 mana to draw 2 cards. And then he does it. He pays 3 mana and 12 life to cast Toxic Deluge X's 12. It resolves, and all creatures cease to exist. And then after this, the turn is passed to Jason, who immediately sacrifices his Glacial Chasm on his upkeep. And then he'll recast Hazezon for 7 mana, and then he'll play his 1 land drop from the graveyard, which is Desert the True, and this will get him 8 1/1s. And then the turn is passed to Matt, who drops a Sad Sarah Ascendant, and then a Resplendent Angel, and then a pair of Swiftfoot Boots, which he'll pay 1 to equip to his Resplendent Angel. Then he'll move to combat and swing for 3 in the air at Jason. On second main, Matt casts Heliod the Suncrowned, and then the turn will be passed to Sam, who starts off with a Basic Forest as land for turn. He'll then just recast Stangg, and then pass the turn to Logan. Black Market Connections will trigger, and since you have to choose one, Logan will just pay 1 life to make a treasure. He'll then tap for 5 mana to cast an Exquisite Blood. After this, he taps for another 5 to cast Hazezon, which will awaken Erebos. And then Logan will move to combat, and he swings for 5 at Matt, who chumps with his Sarah Ascendant. The turn is then passed to Jason, who will draw an additional 2 and lose 2 on his upkeep, and Logan will gain 2. Then on his main, Jason will cast an Eternal Witness to get Azusa back to his hand. He then casts Azusa, and then will play Grasping Dunes from his graveyard to get 8 1/1 tokens. Then pay 1 and sacrifice it to give Stangg a -1/-1 counter, and then he'll replay it from his graveyard again to make another 8 1/1 tokens. He'll then move to combat, and he'll swing a Gentleman's 11 at Sam. Sam blocks Hazezon with Stangg and goes down to 3. And Logan will also gain 8 life. Jason then casts Life from the Loam, returning 2 fetches and Glacial Chasm back to his hand. And as you probably could have guessed, the Chasm will be his 3rd land drop. And then the turn will be passed to Matt. On his upkeep, Matt draws 2 cards and loses 2 life, and Logan gains 2. And then from those 2 draws and his draw step, Matt will put 3 counters on his Resplendent Angel with Wizard class. He'll then cast Auriok Champion, and then moves the boots over to the champion, and then passes the turn to Sam. Hazezon and Exquisite Blood triggers on draw step. Sam will crack his Command Beacon to return Stangg to his hand, and then he'll play a Basic Forest as land for turn. He then recasts Stangg, and then will enchant it with Madcap skills. After this, he animates his Den of the Bugbear, and then moves to combat. He'll swing the Den and the 1/1 Goblin at Logan, and he'll just take the 4. After this, the turn is passed to Logan. Hazezon triggering his upkeep, and then at the beginning of his first main, he pays 3 life to Black Market Connections to draw a card and make a treasure. He then taps for 5 mana and drops Sanguine Bond, which, if you don't know, is a combo with Exquisite Blood. If Logan gains any life or his opponents lose any life, they bounce off each other until all of his opponents are dead. Logan will then sacrifice his Jeweled Lotus and then tap for an additional 5 mana to recast Sheoldred. Logan will then pass the turn to Jason, hoping that Jason will just lose the life on his upkeep, and then Sanguine Blonde and Exquisite Blood will go off to finish the game. And yes, he does actually end up missing lethal this turn. Sam only has 1 blocker, and Logan had 2 attackers, so he could have swung into him and started the chain. We then move to Jason's upkeep, and Glacial Chasm and Hazezon's triggers go on a stack, and the Hazezon one is supposed to resolve first. Jason then allows the Hazezon trigger to resolve, substituting the first draw with Dredging Life from the Loan, and then he'll draw 1 card and lose 4. Then, with Sheoldred and Exquisite Blood triggers on the stack, he destroys the Sanguine Bond with the Beast Within he's had in hand for a very long time. He was hoping to draw a sword so he could sword his own Hazezon and live, but Logan points out that he has Erebos. So Jason dies to the triggers, and then the turn is Matt's, who, between Hazezon, Sheoldred, and Exquisite Blood, has to draw 3 cards, lose 8 life, and Logan will gain 8 life. And then with these 3 draws, he'll put 3 more +1/+1 counters on his Angel. He'll then move his boots over to the Angel, and then he'll pass the turn to Sam, who on his upkeep has a Hazezon trigger. He'll activate his Den of the Bugbear in response, and then he'll activate it again. He then draws his 2 cards and loses 2 life, and he will be dead. And Logan only gains 2 life from this. The turn is now Logan's, and he'll draw 2, lose 2, but then gain 4. He'll then draw on his draw step, gaining 2 life, and then with Black Market Connections, he'll pay 3 life to draw a card, make a treasure, and then gain back 2. And then with that last draw, Logan realizes he has the game in the bag. He taps for 3 and casts Grim Tutor. He loses 3 life and then searches his library for Peer into the Abyss. And he taps out and casts it, targeting Matt. Matt will then draw 36 cards and lose 8 life. Then there are 35 Sheoldred triggers put onto the stack. Matt then thinks, hey, I can put all these 1/1 counters with Wizard class on the Resplendent Angel, and then if I draw Swords to Plowshares, I can Swords it and maybe live. But Erebos is still on the field. So, all those Sheoldred triggers will resolve, absolutely demolishing Matt's life total, and today's winner is Logan and Sheoldred. Way to go, man! Well everyone, there you have it. What an awesome game, everybody did really well. I was personally rooting for Jason and Hazezon, but Logan was able to push him and everyone else at the table to a really low life total, which made him get the win. What did you guys think? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below, and don't forget to check out all our links in the description. There's a ton of stuff there. In fact, there's also the link to our 10,000 subscriber giveaway, and I'm sure that's why a lot of you are here right now. So let's hop right into it. As a special thanks to all of you for getting us to a whopping 10,000 subscribers, we're doing a special giveaway. The link can be found in the description below if you want to enter, and we're going to be picking 3 people as winners. Our first place winner is going to win a box of our custom SmoothBrainEDH sleeves, a signed Liliana of the Veil card, and a custom SmoothBrainEDH playmat. Now if you don't win that, don't worry, there's still other stuff to get. If you're the second chosen, you can still win a box of our SmoothBrain sleeves, 3 boxes of Dragon Shield sleeves, and a custom 3D printed SmoothBrain deck box. And even if you don't get that, don't worry everyone. If you're still wanting to get something, our third place winner will be getting a box of SmoothBrain sleeves, 2 boxes of Dragon Shield sleeves, and a double shell Dragon Shield deck box. So if you're wanting to win any of this, you guys, just be sure to check that link down below and enter yourself. All you really got to do is be subscribed to us and follow us on our social medias, and you'll get a few entries right there. But that's enough for today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and have a smooth day.